Well, Steve, thank you so much for taking the time today to talk with me 2 days in a row, and just so grateful for who you are and your presence. And I just thought we might get started by you sharing just a little bit of your journey right now, health-wise, with the church family, and just telling us a little bit about where you are.
Right. Well, almost 2 years ago, November 2019, I took a fall off of a ladder. I was helping a friend with his roof, and just had pain in my gut that didn't go away. And so, to shrink the story, found out that I had bladder cancer.
Yep.
So obviously, the message here is ladders can cause bladder cancer. I want to be
Take
careful.
that about yeah. Stay off a ladder, people.
And so I went into a routine, a program of surveillance and treatment for that. But there were a couple of other pieces that were yet to come. So about a month ago, Jennifer and I had been out riding bikes, and I found myself just very exhausted and just feeling kind of rotten.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up going to the emergency room, and they said, you know what, you have atrial fibrillation, your heart's not beating right.
Interesting.
Plus, it appears you may have had a mini stroke. You've got some vertigo issues. I didn't pass the touch your nose test.
Oh, wow.
So there I ended up with kind of the triumvirate of cancer, brain, and heart issues.
Yeah.
And
Not the triumvirate you want.
no. And at the moment, cancer treatments continue. I'm still trying to work with doctors to find out on the heart, when can that be recalibrated so that it's beating in the right rhythm and the pace. And then as far as the brain, looking at, possible stroke issues.
Right.
Those are yet to come.
Yeah. Wow. Well, thank you for kind of updating us on how you're doing, and you remain in our prayers.
Thank you.
I was thinking with cancer, with neuro issues, with ongoing challenges related to the third issue,
the cardiology,
the heart. Yeah. There's this sense, I think, that people often experience when their health is deteriorating, that they've lost a sense of control, or maybe the illusion that we live with of having this sort of control over our lives and what our lives look like. And I thought maybe you might just be able to touch on that for us.
Yeah. As a lifelong planner and a guy who fancies himself being in control, knowing how to anticipate situations, conversations, etc. It's a learning. I mean, I'm in preschool, really.
Yeah.
But I can see that not only my default mode of feeling like I'm in control was very close and comfortable. In a lot of ways, it helped me navigate life.
Yeah.
My understanding being, as long as I can control things and control myself, etc., life's wonderful.
Yeah.
What I'm discovering, and not only through my health challenges, a loss of control, but also I'm discovering, which is the good side, that releasing control in some ways, understanding that it is an illusion so much of the time, there's a whole new freedom, and there's a chance, I think, to redeem not just the time I'm in, but to redeem my life and my relationship with God, my relationship with people, if I'm not so control-oriented.
So there's both a negative side to that loss of control, and then there is this positive sense of transformation of what you now actually have control of, which is your relationships with those who are around you, your relationship with God, those community members who are most vital to who you are and how you treat them and care and love for them. So there's this shifting of focus away from personal security to this larger sense of who you are in community with others and the time you have. Yeah.
My Dr. Wright at the University of Washington, who's my cancer doctor and surgeon, his first conversation with me was think of it this way, Steve. You have cancer, but cancer doesn't have you.
Yeah.
And that's a good little sign to put on the wall on this issue of control. I think I've gone to the point where I would say having God, that is the victory, that's the hope, as opposed to having healing.
Right.
Don't get me wrong, I would love to be healed
Right.
from any and all of these things.
Right.
But it's so clear to me that what I can have and what I can know is the presence of God, His control, my time with Him. I don't have any guarantees when it comes to healing.
Right.
I'm not wired this way. I don't have the energy to spend all my time trying to pursue healing from cancer and heart issues and brain issues.
Right.
What I can do in the middle of the night when I'm awake and I'm scared and I'm alone, there's God. Here He is right there.
Right.
That I can have. The other I can't have.
The other you can't have. Right. So there's this interesting shift in mindset from, okay, here's the goal of my life. I'm oriented towards this particular end. And now there's this transformation that's taking place that's reorienting through a challenge, your understanding of what healing might be. And healing might not be physical recovery. Healing might be, in this instance,
bingo,
the sense of spiritual healing that is this deeper healing, which now puts you out into the world as one who deeply desires God above all else.
And I think there's a relational healing too, Mark. Beginning with God, but also in other relationships. And what I mean by relational healing is, for most of my life, and I don't denigrate this at all, but context for relating to God reigns supreme. So that's a Bible study, it's a worship service, it's in the church, it's with the Bible in my lap.
Right.
Those kinds of things would be the doorway to God. And I'm finding, having been stripped of much, that just His presence, there's a healing to our relationship, my relationship with God. There's a fundamental change in how I see those encounters.
Yeah. And I imagine a part of that shift is from the mindset of, I have to do these things. I have to have my morning time. I have to have my prayer time. I have to have kind of this mindset of I'm achieving in order to experience life with God, to now, no, God is inviting me to experience Him just as I am, right as I am, at 2 a.m. in the middle of the night.
Right. Yeah. And my parents and others who drilled things into me, and God bless them, but one of the messages was, you know what? If you spend time with God in prayer, in worship, etc., you're going to get peace. You're going to get direction. You're going to know what God's will is. That kind of stuff.
Right. A plus B equals C.
Yeah. So a transactional approach.
Right.
And what I'm discovering, and I have a lot of times where it's just me and God. What I'm discovering is simply His presence, the profound simplicity of that. Not that, I've got peace, I've got joy, I've got whatever.
Right.
Actually, His presence alone is enough.
Wow. Yeah.
That's enough.
And that's the ultimate healing, it seems like, in terms of, I think of Paul's words even in 2 Corinthians 4 when he says, outwardly, I'm wasting away. My physical life, it's not what it once was. And yet inwardly, there's this transformation of heart that's taking place where I'm renewed day by day, he says.
And there's the long game too, because if I understand my Bible correctly, if I understand the weight of the witnesses, the cloud of witnesses that have gone before me, being in God's presence, what I'm going to be doing for eternity.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, why not practice now?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think of when you say that, there's a line by Dallas Willard, who also had a journey with cancer and has since passed. But he talked about how the problem isn't people going to heaven or going to eternal hell. The problem is, how do you create a person whose life desires to experience heaven right now? And heaven is just simply life with God.
Yeah.
And that's his definition of
love
heaven.
that.
And so you end up that becomes the goal of discipleship. The goal of our spiritual journey is to experience heaven now in preparation for what is to come in eternity.
Right. And it's very clarifying. Your comment reminds me of a conversation I had with somebody, and they basically had concluded, well, it must feel so chaotic right now because you don't have answers. There's a lot of stuff out of your control.
Right.
You're sick.
Right.
Other people are making a lot of decisions for you, and you just need to go along with it. It must be. And I said, actually, this is one of the most clarifying times of my life.
Interesting.
Because of this issue of the healing being in God's presence. To me, that is extremely clear about what do I need to do. I mean, need to make sure I'm spending time in God's presence. What do I need to let go of? What can I release so that I'm not only prepared to richly, fully enjoy that time with God, but with my wife, with my children, my grandchildren, with Mark McHugh. What can I set aside so there can be as much Steve Van Atta redeemed, available as possible?
Yeah. And for all of us, that's true. No matter how many days we're given on this journey that we're on in this life, like the truth is, all of us are constantly needing to examine and re-examine our lives and say, I need to let that go. I need to keep that. I need to let that go. And well, Steve, I'm so grateful for your words and your wisdom, and you remain in our prayers. And thank you for sharing with us your story of how God has really just transformed your sense of what healing is, a healed heart. And we're grateful for you.
Thanks, Mark.